So here is my website. Now this website, this final URL is actually the landing page that you want the users to go. But you can change it anytime later because this is just the keywords that you are entering. And then, by the way, you have to put something here, otherwise the system will not let you go ahead. Now, as you can see, you see more and more, uh, you know, do this and this will happen and all these things, but just ignore it. Okay, now here is the final URL. Now this is actually the ad copy which I was talking about, and then there is a display path. Okay, so the display path is basically here. If you see this, now obviously the website and the logo will not match, okay, because the logo belongs to the live account and this website is my own personal website. I'm just using it for illustration purposes. But if you see these, okay, it gives you constant previews of what the ad looks like. Okay, now if you see here, you will see, this is when I have entered nothing in the display path. So display path is basically what the user sees rather than what the landing page URL is. Okay, so it's a very good practice to have the display path use something relevant to what the user is searching. So a very useful technique is to use DKI in the display path itself. Okay, what is DKI? DKI is dynamic keyword insertion. Okay, which means basically it's a placeholder and it is something like this, curly brackets, and then it will ask for keyword insertion or location insertion. Okay, as you go down the ads, the headlines, the descriptions, there will be one more option of this insertion, which is a countdown insertion. But anyway, so since you can't put a countdown in the URL, you have the option of keyword, and now it asks you to enter the default text. So basically what this does is, the two keywords that we are using now, it is always advised to start any ad group with 5 or more keywords. We just took 2 for illustration purposes, but here it asks for a default text. Now the default text is basically, uh, if the keyword is more than 15 characters, which is the character limit in the default text. Okay, if the keyword is more than 15 characters, okay, then it should show this by default. Okay, so let's say I type in Google Ads, okay, and I click on apply. Now there are 3 cases, and this will be hard coded. So, of course, you can always change it later, but uh, these have different effects on different parts of the ad. Okay, when you are using DKI right in the display path, remember your URL will automatically pick up the keyword which has triggered your ad. Okay, let me repeat that. DKI or dynamic keyword insertion picks up the keyword which has triggered your ad and shows it to the user. Okay, the reason why I love DKI and many performance marketers rely heavily on DKI, and DKI is an option only in Google search ads. It is not possible in any other Google ad campaigns. The reason DKI is so popular is because it will make your ads look relevant to the user, which in turn will help you get clicks from the user. Okay. Now, there is also a flip side to it that um, getting more and more clicks is not necessarily good when you are getting irrelevant clicks. Okay. But as far as clicks are concerned, if you can get more and more relevant clicks, it is always good for your account and the campaign and the business objectives that you're trying to solve. So, DKI, let's say I just enter Google Ads, and then the second part. Now, usually it is best practice to uh, you know give another relevant phrase in the display path, but I have seen local ads where, let's say, you are running lead gen campaigns for a lawyer in a particular area where the location becomes very important because people don't want to travel too far for getting that service. Or let's say you are running Google search campaign for a local store. Okay. You are running Google search campaign for a local retail store. Okay. A typical brick and mortar retail store. In that case, it is a good idea to use the DKI option, but here you use a location insertion, and then you have the option of choosing the city, state, or the country. Uh, if you are very local, it is good to use city and click on apply. So basically, what will happen is when people see the ad, they will see the website name followed by the keyword which has triggered the ad, followed by their location. Okay, this is the user location and not your location. Okay, user location. So, location insertion is very useful where the where physical visits are important to complete the business. Okay. Now, this is the display path. Now, once we are done with the display path, uh, then you have the actual headlines and descriptions. Now, one thing I like to do here is the first headline I use keyword insertion, and here you see there is something called a countdown insertion. This is exactly what I was talking about. Uh, is You can actually have this this a countdown timer to add that FOMO to the user. Now, usually, what I like to do here is use keyword insertion. Click on title case. If you remember when we did it in the display URL, we used sentence case, is because it should appear as a sentence and not as a title. But when you are, so basically you can read it over here. The first letter of all keywords will be capitalized. A sentence case is more natural for the URL. But when it comes to headlines, remember people can see only two headlines in most devices. In tablets and laptops, they see three headlines, but usually the first two headlines are very important. So, what I like to do here is use keyword insertion and then use, let's say, the default uh, the default text would be Google Ads success and click on apply. Now, so what will happen is if you see the keyword, if it is more than 30 characters, okay, which is a limit, it will show the keyword here instead of showing the default text. But if sorry, if the keyword is less than 30 characters, then it will show the keyword. But if it is not less than 30 characters, if it is more than 30 characters, then it will show the default text. Now, what I like to do here is after putting DKI, I usually pin it to the first position. So what happens here is now my first position always shows the keyword that has triggered the ad. Now, this is something which many performance marketers will not tell you, but uh, if you do this, your ads will become relevant uh, right from the start because your first headline is showing the keyword that is triggering your ad. Okay, and there is a difference between keyword and search term. Search term is what the user is actually typing. Keyword is actually what you have which triggered the ad. Okay, now the difference between keyword and search terms is also uh, that also deserves separate attention, and I will make a separate video about it. But as of now, you know any keyword which gets displayed and which always gets displayed in the first position usually improves the quality score of each and every keyword in your ad group. Okay, you start getting better and better quality scores faster because you are always showing the keyword in the first headline. Okay, and then there is the second headline. Now you can put all headlines and just keep on not pinning any of them. So there is an option to do this also, which is showing any unpinned position. If by default this is selected, it's because Google wants to test all the combinations of headlines to see what works and what doesn't. But uh, as performance marketers become more advanced, or even if you're not advanced, even if you're a beginner, it is always good to control what Google wants you to do. So the next headline is where I put a countdown timer. Okay. And let's say I choose 6th September. Okay. And then give it like some big dates. So this is basically when the countdown will begin, and this is when the countdown ends. So there are three options: start of day, custom time, end of day. These are very useful for sale start dates and end dates, but these are also very useful for lead gen campaigns and basically for any service where you want people to have an urgency to click and inquire. Okay, so let's say I take 6 September and end of day and click on apply. So basically, what will happen is it will show so many days left. Okay, and then once the number of days become less than so you see 8 days, now it shows the countdown to 6 September, and today is 29th August when I'm doing this. Uh, you want to make it more natural, I will suggest, uh, you know, let's say batch starts in. Okay. Now, so you see now the batch starts in 8 days. So this is giving some kind of urgency to the user to click on this, come to the landing page, and then do something, do take an action. Okay. Now, If you have observed something, as soon as you put DKI, all this becomes green, which basically means that Google is saying that all of these keywords now you don't have to enter individually in the headlines. Okay. Now you will also see something called ad strength, and Google keeps giving you recommendations of what is ad strength and what it can do. Now, it's an indication of relevance and diversity. You can read all this, but basically, what it means is ad strength is all BS. Okay. Uh, the reason why Google gives you the ad strength is that Google wants you to give it as much freedom in headlines and descriptions so that it can spend your money and keep testing and learning what works and what doesn't work. Okay. So my first headline is pinned to position one. I usually do is I take the second headline, which is a countdown, okay, and I pin it to position two. So this is how my ad looks like. So first is keyword, then is some kind of urgency creation. Okay, some kind of urgency creation. You can also say sale ends in so many days. And when this countdown becomes less than 2 days, that is less than 48 hours, it actually starts counting the hours instead of the dates, instead of days, which is even better. Okay, so here is we are done with headline one and headline two, which are basically the most important part of your ad because this is the one which gets the highest number of clicks always. And then you have another, another set of like Google wants you to fill all 15 headlines, but I would suggest just filling five or six is more than enough when you're starting with, unless you are looking to test different headlines to see which works better. In that case, let's say a better way to do business, I also pin it to second position. So what will happen is now Google has two options to display in the second headline. So it is up to Google to change and shuffle this headline and this headline to see which one is working better for your for your campaign performance. Okay, you can do the same with headline one and two, and then you can also pin something to position three, but I usually don't do it because yeah, when it's a mobile phone or any device, the third headline usually does not show. It usually only shows up in big screens like laptops on tablets. And so that is usually a very low priority for me. But if you are running e-commerce ads, okay, if you are running sales ads, okay, if you're running catalog ads in a separate shopping campaign, then you may want to pin position three as well. This is because uh, when people buy a lot of stuff, when people are trying to use a credit card or the debit card to buy something, they prefer to do it from a laptop or a tablet. Usually it's more laptops because they can sit in one place peacefully and then they make the purchase. Okay, if you're running campaigns for, let's say, some kind of Amazon store, okay, then the third headline also becomes important because most of the purchases will happen through desktops. Okay, but if it's a lead gen campaign, then you can ignore the third headline entirely, and Google will just use all your other headlines to um, shuffle and show in the third headline. Okay. Then there is a description. As you can see, Google has already picked up description, but you can pin this as well. So description, there are only one and two. There are only two options, two descriptions which you can ever show. And then if you want, you can also have DKI in the description as well. So here again, you can put keyword insertion, counter insertion, location insertion. Usually I have seen, you know, any kind of lead gen or e-commerce doing very well with location insertion in their description and then pinning it to, let's say, first or second position. It's because when people see an ad, they are always looking for familiarities. Okay, they'll because the human brain is trained to see patterns even when nothing exists. They are trained to see patterns. So when you are running e-commerce ads, especially when you display their city name, okay, in the description somewhere, it tends to get more clicks because it looks familiar to the user. Now, this is again some tips and tricks which we are going to see what to use in headlines and descriptions to get more clicks and to make your performance better. Then there are images. Now, image is basically, these are all stock images. You don't have to worry too much about it. Just add any stock image that you see on Google. You can also go up to suggested, and then right now there are no suggested as such, but just add any stock image that you get. This is just for getting real estate, and in most of the devices I have not seen images getting displayed. Okay, just know that all the images that you add to your search ad should not have any text on it. Okay, otherwise they will get rejected and then you have to change it again. Then comes business name, so that will be your business and your business logo. And then you have the site links which you can always put later.